Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 10th here at the Council, and we are continuing our work on the FY24 budget. But before we get into that, Madam Clerk, do we have any announcements or changes?
Good morning, Council President, Council Vice President, Council members. This morning we do have one announcement added to consent calendar this morning is item number 3.5, the universities at Shady Grove NDA. And so we just wanted to add that, announce that addition. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And so we'll begin this morning with the consent calendar for the FY24 operating budget. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 28?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilmember Jawando, seconded by Councilmember Luedtke. All those in favor? And that passes. So now we're going into work session on the FY24 budget and the FY23 to 28 CIP. And we will continue with the committee report outs, and we will start with the Government Operations Committee and Human Resources. Chair Stewart.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Wait for folks to take their spot. So I'm going to spend some time walking through this one, and because it's our conversation was very important in government operations and fiscal policy, as we've all been talking about recruiting and retention of our staff is so critical, and I just want to thank Director Anderson and her whole team. And before I turn over to Mr. Howard, I just kind of want to go through and highlight some of the things that we talked about. So if you're looking along in your packet, I thought the easiest thing to do was actually start with where the committee was in agreement on and had 3-0 votes to place things on the high priority list. So those items, there are 3 of them. They include the advertising, publications, and subscriptions. That's a high priority, and what we discussed was making sure there was a systematic approach that the department could also tailor to specific departments. This was a point that we raised and talked about with the Department of Corrections earlier this week, and that line item is $275,400, and so that was a 3-0 on high priority. The next consensus item was on the paid parental leave program and support. This was an increase of $218,493 and 2 FTEs to support the paid parental leave program. This was important given changes that Councilmember Friedson, Vice President, led and the prior council put into place, and we had a very good discussion about the need for staff to really keep up with the paperwork and making sure that staff were getting the benefits that they needed. The next item was the classification and compensation. This is an increase of $785,941 and 2 FTEs to enhance the county's classification and compensation structure, which is long overdue and needed. In this, the amount of $500,000 is for a contractor to review the county structure and devise a plan to update the classification and compensation framework. That was agreed upon by the whole committee to fund. Where there was disagreement was on the addition of the 2 FTEs. That was a 2-1 vote, with 2 of the committee members voting a high priority on that and 1 committee member wanting a repurposing of vacancies to fill that position. There are other items on the OHR reconciliation list, but I wanted to pause there and see if there are any questions or people would like to hear from Mr. Howard or Director Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chair Stewart, for the work of the committee and that report out. Councilmember Luedtke has a comment.
Actually, I have 2 questions about 2 of the items on the list. So one is the feasibility of repurposing vacant positions to cover those 2 positions that you need now. And I was wondering if you could speak to that, since that was the vote that was taken in committee that was split.
So the county executives Excuse me. Tracy Anderson, Director, Office of Human Resources.
I know you, Miss Tracy.
Director Anderson,
Thank you.
Director Anderson, can you bring the microphone just closer to
I
you?
sure can.
There you go, thank you.
So excuse me. The question about the vacant positions and repurposing them is part of a larger discussion that the county executive has directed us to have with OMB
Right.
about positions all over the county. So that's something that we would take into consideration.
Okay. And then with respect to the $500,000 for the contractor to do the much needed analysis, audit, overhaul of the personnel system, which will be a huge task. I noticed in the Merit System Protection Board item, budget item that we just preliminarily approved on consent, that there was also an allocation for $400,000 to do similar work because they're required by law to do that every 5 years. And they're, in that case, they're just moving the $400,000 from FY23 to FY24 because they didn't end up expending it. But I was wondering if there was anything that would come from that that would help inform and potentially could reduce costs in what you need to put the RFP out for your work.
So MSPB's responsibility with regard to the class plan is slightly different than ours. They would be auditing our classification plan to determine if we were maintaining fidelity to the classification and compensation structure. We're responsible for maintaining a competitive structure and for providing services within the county's personnel regs. So the responsibilities are slightly different.
Okay.
Those findings may lead to some things we need to improve, but we all know that the class plan is woefully old
Yeah,
and in need
yeah.
of update.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Thank you. Turn it back over to the chair.
Great. So those were the high priority items in which we had pretty much consensus among the committee members. The next couple of items, we had slight differences of opinion on the committee for our recommendations. The first is the need for retention and the promoting and training within our organization. And we have training and organizational development program support with the repurpose of an unfunded DOT position. This was $112,000. We had 2 committee members who placed this a high priority and 1 committee member who placed it as a priority. I want to note that in the committee, we did discuss making this a high priority and putting an emphasis on it, and cut the management and leadership training program. Even though we know the management and leadership training program is very important, understanding the budget constraints we have now, we really wanted to make sure that there was some training and organizational development in the OHR budget. So that's why we put 2 of us put a high priority on that item and cut the management and leadership training program. But we can have conversations on that as well. The next item is the centralized processing unit support. That is an increase of $87,893 and 2 FTEs to centralize the processing of core human resources functions across departments to create more efficient recruitments, position management, and administrative transactions. As we've talked about with other items, this is really to make sure the department is functioning well and we keep our staff happy and we retain them. Again, this was 2 supporting the high priority and 1 council member suggesting the use of vacancies to fill the position. The next items were on priority recruitment and sourcing support. There was $87,893 for that. This received 2 council members placing that as a priority issue and 1 council member wanting to repurpose existing vacant positions instead. Employee recognition program, $125,000 was also placed on the priority list. And I think that is it for the Office of Human Resources.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the work that you and the entire committee have done. This topic has been one of the central topics in this entire budget conversation, particularly underscoring the point that there are between 1,200 and 1,500 vacancies on any given day, as we've been told. And as we've been trying to reconcile this budget and do so to make sure that county residents continue receiving the highest quality services, and that while also ensuring that their tax-paying dollars are being used efficiently and prudently, we are trying to find some cost savings and efficiencies. And so, Director Anderson, can you speak to the whole council? I know you spoke to the GO committee about this at length, but now that you're before all 11 of us, can you talk about the ongoing hiring and recruitment processes and why we might have so many vacancies in county government?
Thank you for that question, Council President Glass. Vacancies in the county are not a new issue. Vacancies are a perennial issue. The county carries an 8.6% turnover rate the last 2 years. So that would represent about 900 jobs. So when you add to that COVID, where there are fewer applicants for positions, less advertising going on, you add telework, more people seeking remote positions, more options available for remote work at higher rates of pay. And then you look at the low unemployment rate nationally. So in FY22, the county hired 754 employees. 973 employees separated from the county. So that was a 219 net loss for us. As of March this fiscal year, we have hired 780 new employees. That outpaces us in terms of hiring from last year. But during the same time, we lost more than 650 employees. So we're not able to keep up with the rate of change in terms of the workforce. It's not new to anyone nationally, this challenge with hiring. Our partners in Fairfax have a 15% vacancy rate. The district has a 20% vacancy rate. Howard County has an 11% vacancy rate. So we're challenged and stretched in ways that others like us are. So I can't speak to, beyond that, I can't speak to why the vacancies are happening the way they are, but it's part of a trend that everybody's experiencing. In terms of how we plan to move forward, we had a very robust job fair event on May 3rd. More than 700 of our residents came to the Silver Spring Center. We had a great day. 160-something interviews took place that day, resulting in 69 contingent offers. So those numbers are still coming in, but we are looking for ways, and that's why our budget ask is the way it is, so that we can be out in the community, interfacing with residents, and making ourselves known. We used to be the preferred employer in the region. We're not. And we can't just post a job and expect people to come anymore. We're looking for ways to do that. I know that there's a lot of concern about the vacancies and a lot of concern about how we would go forward if we actually had the jobs to fill in OHR. We haven't made investments in that team. We just haven't. Where we are is job fairs, having some really scrappy kinds of recruiters going out, making partnerships and developing pipelines for new employees. We want to really just get out in the community and do some things differently. Partner with those organizations that we know serve communities that we don't reach. Thank you.
I'm encouraged by those remarks. Clearly, there's a Texas two-step aspect to it that, 780 employees are brought on board, 650 leave. You have events, 69 contingent offers, many more people in the pipeline. That's terrific. It is central to this entire conversation. And I think if there's anything that we have to do within county government, it is help you and your team do their job as best as possible so that we can round out county government. But the flip side of that is that the county executive for the last 5 years has talked about restructuring and the need to restructure, the interest, the desire, and one that I share. Is this not an opportunity to restructure? And what is being done within the Department of Human Resources to undergo that fundamental change?
The county executive absolutely is committed to looking at vacancies to determining what the size and scope of government should be. He has charged us to work in partnership with OMB to develop a process to really talk with departments about how they're using vacancies. OHR has started a process with collaborative meetings with directors. We're going through those metrics that talk about their vacancy rate, the numbers of employees eligible to retire, drilling down to see where the pressures are. Those parts of the process are beginnings to the discussions, the ongoing discussions about restructuring government. The county executive is not inattentive to that. That was part of what he told me about when I joined the staff, that we needed to be attentive to recruitment, that we need to pay attention to the size and scope of our operation, and he wanted to see some things done. And so we're hopeful that you will support his budget in that way.
I am hopeful that this work will continue more than I've seen of it, because from my perspective, coming into this budget with 1,200 to 1,500 vacancies on any given day, with hundreds more new positions being proposed, I don't think that is an accurate read on our personnel. And if we have all those vacancies, rather than creating more positions, we should use this as an opportunity to refine or redefine some of the positions that we have, repurpose them perhaps, and streamline. And that is what we have undertaken here. And so I know that in your tenure, you have pledged to work with the county executive. I know nearly all, if not all of my colleagues have stated their support for that effort too. But from my perspective, that work is beginning with this budget. As we are trying to make some streamlining efforts, it's why I wrote a memo on behalf of the whole council asking for non-recommended cuts, reductions, lapses, and that's the starting point. And so I look forward to continuing this work with you after this FY24 budget. And my hope and expectation is that when we have this conversation again next year, we will be further along in our conversation about how we're restructuring and redefining county government. So thank you. I'll yield to, or I'll call on Council Vice President Friedson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's like music to my ears listening to you speak. I appreciate it. First of all, Ms. Anderson, as you know, I'm a big fan of your work. I think you've been doing a great job. You have a very challenging job that is probably more difficult than it ever has been before for someone in your role. And I really appreciate the work that you've been doing. My concerns have nothing to do with my faith in you. They have to do with my concerns, much akin to what the council president was suggesting. We have heard about a commitment to a restructuring of county government. We have yet to see any tangible action related to it. The only evidence of a restructuring that we have seen up to this point was the $92,000 of taxpayer money that was spent with Matrix Consulting Group to look at vacancies. Of the perennial issue that you raised of 900 on average to 1,000, which is a normal year of late, this year, 1,200 to 1,500, depending on which day you're looking at and whose numbers you're counting. That group only agreed to do 100. Of the 100 that were committed, we use the word committed here, they only actually identified 9 in an organization of 10,000 with 1,200 to 1,500 vacancies. This is not the hard work of restructuring. This is the easy part, where you look at open positions that have been open for years and years and years. I mean, the hard part comes next. This is the easy part. We haven't even gotten the easy part right. Of those 9 positions, I'm not aware of any of them being abolished. And of the other recommendations from that report, none of those recommendations have been fulfilled in any meaningful way that has resulted in cost savings or dramatic changes to span of control and to positions. And we've heard from labor partners who participated in that effort in good faith, and even they're frustrated and feel like this has not occurred. So I appreciate that you are doing what you can, but even you are limited, as we have been discussed, that you can only recruit the positions that are available for you to recruit in your office to recruit at any given time. And of late, that's been 552 positions was the last formal number that we had. Well, what does that mean? It means that we're not even actively recruiting the other 900 positions in county government. So it begs the question of what are we doing here? And the recommendations that I made during the committee were that these positions are important, and I want you to be in a position to do your work. But there are a lot of available positions in county government that could easily, without any impact on services whatsoever to a single resident, could be repurposed to do this work. And I just don't understand, in a budget where we have 1,200 to 1,500 vacancies, why we're adding 137 new positions. And particularly in this case, where it's the office that is looking at repurposing positions. If there's anywhere to start about a department that could repurpose positions, it's the department that is tasked with the job of reclassing and repurposing positions. Similarly, the $500,000 for the consultant to help us to understand better and to be more competitive and to address all the issues that I agree with you that you are hard pressed to be able to address, in some ways making some of the other changes that we have been making in county government before we have an understanding of what the restructuring looks like. It just feels like it's a bit and stop situation where the restructuring and reorganization effort has not been as holistic, as comprehensive, and as strategic as it needs to be. And that's not really a criticism of you, because you can only do your part of this, and I think you are to the best of your ability doing it. We need, and you need, from the second floor, the county executive and the chief administrative officer, to give clear guidance and a clear vision for what this restructuring plan that we have been hearing about for 5 years and have seen zero results whatsoever in moving forward. So I just note for colleagues that I'm the one, as noted by my dear chair of the Government Operations Committee. I'm pretty sure that everybody knew that, but I just wanted to state that. But the reason wasn't because I don't believe that this department is doing really good work, and that I don't believe that this department is perhaps more important than it has ever been. It's in the fact that we have a massive number of vacancies. We have been adding significant new positions to this department, and I don't think it is an easy conversation for us to share with residents of why we couldn't repurpose positions to fill these needs, to do a better job with the resources that we have in county government to make sure that we're providing the services that residents expect and deserve. With that, I'll yield back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Balcom.
Thank you, and thank you for your work. It's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you. So I agree with Council President and Council Vice President. We've been talking about this throughout the entire budget process, and the one thing that I just would lift up is that I think that the Office of Human Resources is a perfect place to lead by example. From the perspective of repurposing existing positions, and I feel like it has to happen. We need to, and the county executive is committed to looking at the government positions and restructuring and potentially shrinking government. We've heard that for a while now, and so I think that when we having the open positions is the perfect opportunity to do that, as opposed to creating new positions. And so I just wanted to state that. I think procedurally, I'd like to make a motion to put the 2 positions for the centralized processing support on priority versus high priority.
Motion moved to shift those 2 positions from high priority to priorities made by Councilmember Balcom. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Friedson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been said.
Okay. Councilmember Mink.
Thank you, and thank you to my colleagues for the thoughtful conversation. I of course agree that we need significant work done looking at as we look towards the future, that there's reorganizing that needs to happen, that there's looking at the base budget work that needs to happen, all of those things. That said, I don't think that precludes us from needing to be extremely competitive in recruitment right now. I think that the points that you made about our regional friends also having enormous staffing deficits means everybody is going to be trying to beef up their recruiting efforts. The field is going to be very competitive, and we are either going to win or lose at this moment. So, while we need to be looking, I think, very thoughtfully on our part, just as we're asking the county executive to do the same, to see where we can make adjustments. I don't think that there's anything drastic that's going to be happening at this particular moment right now. We've been waiting for years for this, of course, and I think that I absolutely stand with all of you in pushing the county executive and working with the county executive to make some serious adjustments and improvements at this time. However, we have to face the reality that we really need to be competitive in this field right now. So I don't think that this is a place that we should be making cuts. I don't know how I would defend that to constituents who are looking around and saying we are understaffed in all of these departments. What are you doing about it? This is the department that does something about it, about filling those roles. So while I agree as we look at the future that things need to happen, I think right now we need to be highly competitive, and I'm gonna support having recruitment roles on the high priority list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sales.
Thank you, President Glass. I agree with my colleague, Councilmember Mink. These are resources and ways that we can efficiently restructure, reclassify. I mean, some of these positions actually are for reclassifying and restructuring compensation across all of the departments. And I'm sure there's going to be an evaluation of the positions that have been open, the positions that may need restructuring, and the departments. You sent over the memo asking everyone to look at the cuts that may no longer be required. That includes positions, and that includes, re-identifying the needs of our county government. I want to ensure that this department has what they need. Cutting something like the central processing unit that holds information, that processes an abundance of information. I mean, having how many interviews and only 60 applicants, and you're still going through it. We're trying to ensure that electronic records have all the information that, we need to have to ensure that we're hiring the best people, that we are evaluating their references, their backgrounds. I mean, this is not easy work. We've already heard from applicants that just the time that it takes to go through the entire HR process has to do with the limited staff that's available. Eliminating training programs and advancement programs. The federal government has management and leadership training programs because people don't want to be in an environment where they see a ceiling within 1 to 2 pay grades. They want to see opportunities for advancement. I know that we have so many competing opportunities on the budget, and so many things cannot be high priority. But if we want to fill positions and make Montgomery County the efficient government that it needs to be, we need to ensure that they have the resources to do it. And every year we'll evaluate and make sure that they are doing what needs to be done, that applicants are getting processed quicker, that people are staying in their jobs longer, that people are talking about job satisfaction and they're saying why they are satisfied. I see progress being made with the resources that they have. I think there should be a better discussion on which of the additional requests for positions are definitely necessary. to ensure that we have the staffing that we need. Which ones we can do without would be helpful before, subsequent meetings, but I want to ensure that you have what you need. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Albornoz.
Thanks. So it's good to see you, Ms. Anderson. I appreciate Council Vice President Friedson's comments up front, acknowledging the difficult position that you're in on a good day. But this is really difficult, especially right now. And I'm personally familiar with the importance and the interconnection between your office and that of all of the respective county agencies who are charged with carrying out the mission of county government to provide public service that our residents so desperately need, especially now. And I also know that the Department of Human Resources has gone through its own very significant transitions over the last 5+ years, up and down, people leaving, people coming, and trying to figure it all out in between, and doing it in an environment that has been historically unpredictable. So I agree with Councilmember Sales and Councilmember Mink in that I do think you all need the resources to be able to advance and hire these positions. In the Department of Health and Human Services alone, we're talking about nurses, we're talking about psychologists, we're talking about social workers who are, we're in a very, as has been noted and we all acknowledge, competitive environment right now, and we have to fill these positions as quickly as possible. We can't, on the one hand, criticize you for not expediting the process, and it sounds like great strides have been made, but then not give you all the tools and resources you need to be successful. So I understand and totally respect that we've got to go through, and will continue to, every line item to find any pennies we can find or any cushions we can find. But in this instance, I think the lack of investment may actually end up costing us more because it may mean that positions go vacant a little bit longer. And that, by the way, let's pull the string here, that work's still being done by somebody. And what happens, and I, again, have personal experience with this, is that then people end up working out of their classification. Their workloads end up being significantly higher. That leads to more burnout. And so then we lose people. And it just reinforces this challenge of retention. And, the training programs are great, but it's ultimately the workload that is what is impacting people the most, and the burnout. The caseloads are just ridiculous right now. So I will not support the motion for those reasons, but again, once again, respect where it's coming from. I just think that would be penny wise and pound foolish. Thank you.
Councilmember Jawanda.
Thank you. Good morning. Good to see you all. Thanks. I think what you're hearing, a consistent theme, is that we know you're doing a good job and it's a hard job. And we had an exchange, I can't remember, a few weeks back about this issue of restructuring, which I think you're also hearing. We all want to see that move forward. Obviously, once in a century pandemic, hard to restructure when you're, I remember when we were sitting upstairs and we were like, well, we're going to shut down council for 2 weeks, and ended up being 2 years. And so as far as moving online, I didn't know what Zoom was 3 years ago. Now we hear testimony on Zoom regularly. So just context is important. So, that being said, we do want to see progress, right? And I really appreciate Councilmember Albornoz, who's been on the side of this, and Councilmembers Mink and Sales, as well as the majority on the GO committee. We shouldn't just be, and I'll use a very technical term, willy-nilly repurposing positions without the information or analysis. Now, should you do that faster? Absolutely. Is this part of what you're asking for, this consultant to help figure out in the work you described that the executives direct you to do, to come back to us? We certainly shouldn't be in this position next year. We should have a better sense of what that potential restructuring is going to look like. But I wouldn't want to move a position until I know that that's not needed at some point, right? So I just think you need information, and you don't want to do it on the fly. That being said, let's do it so that we can have the information and then be making, better informed decisions, right? And so I won't support the motion either. We want to make sure you have the resources to get the information that we're all asking for to fill the positions to the maximum ability so that we can reduce burnout. And everyone is burnt out. And we're hearing that across county government, across state government, across the country. Less people are applying for public service. Less people are applying to be in these jobs. And so we need to fundamentally change that because that's the service we're providing to our residents. So I appreciate the hard work you have in front of you, but I do not think it would be prudent to deny this funding at this time because it's going to do the exact things we want you to do. But I will say, and as I said just a few moments ago, please be in touch with us on this process. I'd like to see, and I know GO will follow up, and I'm sure they'll see what the plan is to get to the to do the analysis, what the timeline is, when you're going to come back with recommendations, those kind of things. So please, let's not be in this situation next year. Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Anderson.
One point I'd like to make, the restructuring, I know that you all have sat with it a lot longer than I have. Much of this conversation is new to me. But the Office of Management and Budget is going to lead this effort. So I'm here before you today, first, yay for being first on the agenda. But OMB is going to lead a very robust effort and marshal resources throughout the county to get this work done. The county executive is committed to that. In reviewing the positions, it is, as you said, sir, a much bigger conversation. The new positions represent new work. And so in going back and trying to figure out how to repurpose jobs, only those departments that own the jobs are able to tell
Right.
us.
And you want to do that with information. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Mr. President.
And I'll just add for everyone's understanding that while you are first to engage in this conversation because of the portfolio which you carry, we will be having a conversation about vacancies on Friday as part of this budget, and we will have Chief Administrative Officer Madalino here. So backup is on the way. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Council President. And I'm not going to support this motion either. I didn't support it in committee, and I'm certainly not now. But Ms. Anderson, how long have you been on this job?
November 21st, 2022 was my first day.
And you haven't solved these problems yet?
Almost.
You almost, yeah. You and your entire team do an extremely good job. And I know that you hear the criticism, and it's criticism, but yet it's with love that people want to get to the right place. But you all have done a remarkable job in the short period of time that you've been here, doing this job. You've been here prior, but doing this job. And timing is everything in life, not just for this topic, but a whole lot of other topics. And I continue to say, and I would like to quote myself, that we need to give the resources necessary to do the job. And we at times have, and we at times haven't. We've got to change that. We've got to always do that. We've got to say that if we want to turn this large train around, then we have to give the resources necessary to do it. And that's where we are right now. Government, Montgomery County especially, is in the services business. That's what we do. And we provide those services by hardworking employees each and every day. And we appreciate them and we respect them. But we also have to say that a fair competition, which you named their competitors, and you didn't name the private industry, you mentioned them, but you didn't. If fair competition is beating us, then we got to figure out a way to beat them. We've got to have what you've just done. You've had resource fairs. You've had people that you've hired on the spot. Maybe we did that before in the county. I don't remember it, but there again, I certainly don't remember everything that's ever happened. But bottom line on this is that we have got to give the resources necessary to get ourselves back on track. And I believe, to the council president and others' thoughts, this is the first step in a long process. And yes, obviously, you're going to need help, but we need to help your helpers as well. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Very good. Council Member Stewart.
Great, thank you. I won't repeat what my colleagues have just said and my colleague on government operations, but I do want to reiterate the deep conversation we had in the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee and looking very closely at this budget, and just remind my colleagues that we did cut from this budget a very important item on management and training that we had a lot of conversation about, and the importance of that, but also understanding where we are in this budget and knowing that we may need to wait and fund things in future years. We did put things on priority, and I just want to reiterate that the committee, at least 2 members, felt very strongly that this is what this department needs in their budget this year to get the work done, to make sure that we are recruiting and retaining the staff we have. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
Good morning. Very quickly, I will not support the motion, but I would say that it's also important to highlight that we have a national labor market that is very tight. It's not just regional; it's national, and we're feeling the constant. I actually, besides saying that I'm not gonna support the motion, I will support the entire recommendation from the committee. But I will also add that I was disappointed to see that the management and leadership training program got cut. I think it's critical for the whole county to understand that we need to ensure that our managers especially stay in place, that they're competitive, that they know what the latest skills that they should have. Those things are very important to maintain them. So I do think it's a mistake not to have it back in as a high priority. I'm not gonna fight it because I think I'm gonna lose, and I hate losing. But I'm gonna have to let it go and see how we can bring it back maybe next year. And the other thing that I will add here, although we haven't talked about this, is since we're talking about recruitment, the importance of paid internships. I mean, you mentioned pipelines, and you mentioned going out to different, conferences and I don't know how you call it, like different events where you recruit people, especially people who look like our community. But in order to create that pipeline, starting from a young age, you must paid interns, young people. I got involved into this career because I got a paid internship by the ACLU. I worked at the ACLU when I was in college. It was either working at a cafeteria versus getting a paid internship by the ACLU, and that's why I got into this world. Otherwise, I would have stayed working in a cafeteria. And I was a college student back then. So at some point, we really need to bring into this conversation having a robust paid internship. I pushed on that when I was in parking planning, and every time that budget came to the county council, they always cut that thing. And now that I'm here, I'm gonna push it not just for the Parking Planning Commission, but also for you as a really high priority to build that pipeline. I mean, imagine having kids from, young people from Montgomery College, even high school. I got a paid internship by CASA when I was in high school, and I was undocumented. I mean, can't get better than that. So it's food for thought for the future. That's it. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Council Member Balcom.
Just circling back, thank you. Like Councilmember Katz, I would like to quote myself, but I forgot what I said. But I don't recall using the words willy-nilly when I suggested repurposing. But I do want to clarify. I absolutely agree and respect that you need the bodies to do the job. So I was not expecting that you wouldn't have those positions, but I do think the repurposing, I'll stick with my original point about repurposing positions. But I also, everyone here needs to remember this discussion next year. We are asking the county executive to look at these positions and with a hard look. Many of these positions have been open for a very long time, and I can't imagine that there are positions that can't be repurposed. And so we need to remember this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll close out the conversation by reminding us all of a conversation we had earlier this week with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, where they were telling us how hard it is to recruit, and in the budget added $35,000 for their own recruitment. And this body deprioritized that because we didn't think that the Office of Corrections and Rehabilitation was best suited to do that recruitment effort. Is actually the Office of Human Resources. And so I will quote the great philosopher, Sidney Katz, by saying we need to help our helpers. And so I will not be supporting this because we need you to help. And that's what my opening comment was. And we can do all of these things at the same time. We can help outreach, we can help recruitment, and we can rethink county government all at the same time. That conversation is starting with this budget. I won't support the motion because we need you to keep doing the good work to provide for our residents. So with that, there is a motion by Councilmember Balcom, seconded by Vice President Friedson, to deprioritize 2 centralized processing units. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that is 3 to 8 in opposition. Okay. Any other comments, colleagues, on the Office of Human Resources? Not seeing any. All those in support of the GO recommended budget for the Office of Department of Human Resources, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. Next, the second item of the morning is the Working Families and Income Supplemental NDA. I turn it back over to the GO chair.
Great, thank you. So hopefully this will go a little faster. Looking at the Working Families Income Supplement NDA. The committee expressed its support for the program as a critical anti-poverty tool for the county residents. The committee supported the executive's recommended approach to partial replacement of the Federal American Rescue Plan Act funding, the ARPA funding, and we unanimously placed the executive's recommended increase in county funds, a total of $7,385,661 on the reconciliation list in 2 tranches. Both as high priority items. And then the other item also included in this is the supplemental appropriations to the Montgomery County operating budget for the Working Families Income Supplement. And I don't know, Mr. Howard, if you have anything to add on that.
Well, that's a separate item, so I don't know if the council wants to discuss the FY24 item first, and then we can come back to the FY23 supplemental.
Sure.
Sure.
That's it. I don't have anything else on this. Sorry.
Okay. Not seeing any other comments. All those in favor of the GO recommendation for the Working Families Income Supplemental, NDA, that is unanimous.
Okay, perfect. So for the FY23 supplemental, on March 15th, as the council is aware, the executive sent over a series of supplementals related to additional unplanned FY23 departmental expenditures, and the committees and the council have been taking those up as you've gone through the budget process. This one was for the Working Families Income Supplement NDA in the amount of $4,473,902. And this was, the executive recommends using unspent ARPA funds to fund the supplemental. On March 21st, the council had a discussion about ARPA funds in general, and we discussed this issue. And what we talked about was that there was a projected amount of $1.3 million approximately of projected unspent funds, primarily from the hotel assistance appropriation and the business rental assistance appropriations. And at the same time, the Working Families Income Supplement, the ARPA funded portion, was underspent in FY22 by $3.1 million and overspent in FY23 by $4.4 million. And the executive cannot use unspent FY22 appropriation towards FY23 expenditures unless authorized by the council. So on March 15th, the executive's transmittal to fund this additional $4.4 million in expenditures was to use the $3.1 million in unspent FY22 funds for the Working Income Families Supplement, and then to also use $1.3 million in unspent funds from those other appropriations. At that discussion on March 21st, the council members did have some questions about the unspent funds from the Hotel Relief Grant and Business Rental Assistance programs. I've included responses from the executive branch to the questions in the memo itself. I won't go through all of them, but just note on page 3 of the staff report, to the question number 2 was, are there specific changes in eligibility or program criteria that could be made to result in the full expenditure of funds for these appropriations while still remaining compliant with ARPA eligibility? The executive branch's response is that there are unlikely to be any specific changes that are obvious and or justifiable under ARPA. The parameters could be adjusted, but there's no data to determine what a new threshold is that could be supported under the purposes of ARPA, and so they still recommend repurposing those funds. And then at the end, what the council needs to decide, I've provided 2 different options for council consideration on the last page of the cover memo. The first would be to approve the supplemental as recommended by the executive. That would again use both the unspent FY22 Working Families Income Supplement ARPA funds and the $1.3 million in additional unspent funds. A second option would be to approve the supplemental using the $3.1 million in unspent ARPA funds from the Working Income Supplement, and then $1.3 million in general fund reserves. This option would reduce the projected FY23 and FY24 reserve levels in the executive's recommended budget by $1.3 million. So there would potentially be less resources for the council to use as part of the FY24 budget. Or the council could either have a reserve level that's lower, by 1.3 million, or it could have 1.3 million less in resources used for FY24. And then you would be able to make a separate decision on how to reallocate those unspent ARPA funds for hotel assistance and business rental assistance. Council staff recommends option number 1, which would be to approve the supplemental as recommended by the executive. Thank you.
And the GO committee did not.
We did not. We were unable to take this up in time, so it's coming to the full council.
I appreciate the options presented by council staff. I would support option number 1 as presented by the executive. I'm seeing head nods. Council Vice President Friedson.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think we should do option 2 personally. I think we need to have a broader question of what we do with the balance of ARPA funds. I know Councilmember Albernaz has a proposal related to food that isn't directly related to this, with the $6 million, which I actually do support. In fact, I had put forward a different proposal to look at an aggregation facility, for instance, but I think that the more urgent and immediate need is related to food. And so, while I still want to pursue that down the road, I think the more urgent immediate need is now. But I personally am not comfortable voting to zero out small business assistance and hotel assistance grant programs until we have a more holistic view and discussion on ARPA funding and what we do with the remaining balances. We would be making a decision in this case to move money away from what we had intended for small businesses and for the hospitality industry into an unrelated area. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it is a significant policy decision that I think we ought to take a little bit more time to discuss. And so I think for the time being, option 2 would be better, and I think we need to come back and have a more holistic discussion on ARPA funding in general, which we began at the beginning of this budget cycle, but we have not really completed to determine exactly how we're going to allocate all of those funds. So I would be more comfortable with option 2 personally.
So, Vice President Friedson, I'd say that while there were ARPA funds that were designated 2-3 years ago with a very good intention, if those funds were not used, we should rethink how we use those unspent funds. And there is a proposal before us to use the unspent funds that were originally allocated to hotels and business community to support the poorest members of our community. And while there might be another proposal to support food assistance, in my mind, they are both going to very similar demographics. And so while that might be the outcome, I think we need to look at what the original intention was. And while a very good intention and a useful intention during COVID, perhaps we allocated more money than was necessary. And so we're course correcting because the need wasn't as high as we thought it was. But there are other needs in our community, and that is now where we would be redirecting these funds. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
I would like to hear from Council Member Gabe Albornoz. I read the letter that Council Vice President mentioned on the food. Is this the same fund that you were mentioning in your letter? Because you didn't talk about ARPA funds. Can you clarify, please?
Ms. McGuire.
So those funds, no, they would be separate ARPA funds. The funds that were referenced in Mr. Albornoz's letter would relate to funds that had been designated by the council previously for food services but had not been appropriated and would be in the HHS budget.
Okay, good, because I got confused with the comments. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, exactly.
It's part of the same.
Yes. Now, thank you for that clarification because it got confusing. I would actually support Council Vice President Fritzen. We did talk about this in Econ briefly, and I had mentioned that when we came to help small businesses during the pandemic, I know of businesses who did not know that this money was available for them when I went door knocking. So in the business community in my district. So I do think it will be important to have like more of an in-depth conversation and also quickly on how to use this money. If we hold it, when do we need to come back to make a decision if we choose option number 2?
There's no specific deadline. ARPA funds have until FY26 to be spent, so there's time to come back to it. But it would require, I think it would require a whole new program or effort to spend those dollars based on the executive branch response to the questions.
Okay, I'm okay with option number 2 based on what I'm hearing. So I don't know why we need to be rushing here.
Thank you. Mr. Howard, can you restate what the budgetary implications of adopting option number 2 would be in this budget?
Sure. There's 2 ways it could work out. One would be it would reduce the reserve levels recommended by the executive as at the end of FY23 and at the projected end of FY24 by $1.3 million. Or if you wanted to keep the reserve levels the same, it would reduce the resources in the FY24 budget for the council to decide on by $1.3 million.
So either option number 2 would either requiring dipping into the reserves or further reducing the next fiscal year, FY25?
It would reduce the resources available for you as part of this budget.
Yep. Very good. Thank you. Yep. Councilmember Ludke.
I just had one question about whether there were any restrictions in receiving the ARPA funds that preclude or limit how you can move them around once a body has or a governmental entity has declared to use them for a specific purpose.
No restrictions in terms of being able to reappropriate unspent funds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was the author of one of the programs in question here, and I'm very underwhelmed with the response, the 3-sentence response to why the funds weren't spent. We had a conversation about this weeks ago, and I asked specifically, as did others, did you talk to the Latino Economic Development Corporation who helped with the outreach for the program? It was the limitations that were talked about as severe here were done to make sure it targeted businesses who were storefront, who were small, people of color businesses that are disproportionately, to Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez's point, don't hear about these programs. The first time we did the round, it was oversubscribed, and then they went back and did another round. Based on this response, and I'll let you all, it sounds like what I asked last time was not done, but I would like to hear more. Did you talk to the Latino Economic Development Corporation? Did we think about maybe expanding the size. You know, businesses still have to pay for rent, and that's a high cost for all of these small businesses. That's what this was targeted at. So I absent better answers, I'm not comfortable doing it, getting rid of it at this point either. So does anyone from finance or anyone have any additional information? I don't know if the right people are here.
No, we'll get you something though, Mr. Juwan.
Okay, yeah, just please, because I know I feel like I'm having deja vu. So I'd support the second option as well.
Very good. Councilmember Albornoz.
Thanks. I appreciate the discussion. I think option one doesn't preclude us, as I understand it, from still supporting the small businesses that were the original intent. This just affords us more flexibility as we go through the budget to potentially fund other things. And so I will support option one, acknowledging if the information comes back and none of us are satisfied, there was enough done, then I think we should look at going back to the original intent. But we are more than a year and a half removed from the worst of COVID. And we now have this new phase of needs that we're seeing, particularly in the Health and Human Services space. And I appreciate and thank you for the phone a friend, Ms. McGuire, because it is important to acknowledge that there are two, we're talking about two separate funds. It's a good question, Councilmember Funny Gonzalez, because we don't want to unintentionally impact something that I think is going to help us with this budget and the organizations that are on the ground providing the services. So I will support option one, but I do look forward to receiving the information provided back by Finance.
Councilmember Sales.
Thank you. I just wanted to agree with my colleague to support option one. I do look forward to receiving the information. I did have another question. We talk about the businesses that weren't able to access these funds. Do we have a list of the recommended applications, or did we track why applications were denied? If we can look at the applications that we should still have in our possession, and maybe see what happened with those, and be a bit more proactive in addressing some of the complaints that we've received, not just from the Latino community, but from the African American community. If we can just ensure that we're making sure that the businesses who did not access those funds, the populations, that we're ensuring we are identifying what their barriers were before, or in addition to the other information that's already been requested. Thank you.
Councilmember Balcom.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I'm very familiar with the small business rental assistance. We tried very hard to get this out. I think that we expressed this, we expressed this at the time. The parameters for this grant are very limited. So my guess is that it wasn't a matter of rejecting applications, but there weren't a lot of applications. That would just be my guess, because it's a very, very restricted grant, and the chambers, the business community had a very hard time finding people that would actually that it would pertain to. So I'm not. I agree with the second choice of keeping this money somehow for the business community. Maybe I'm changing my mind right now. The issue is, I don't think it's going to be worthwhile to go back and reissue this grant, because I think that there were some flaws in the grant to begin with. I do think, however, there are businesses that are still reeling, just like the county continues to say, we're dealing with the aftermath of COVID. So are businesses. Businesses are hurting, and this money could really come in handy. So I think that maybe in the first scenario that we look at, it doesn't preclude us for spending the money on businesses, but I don't think we should go back and reissue this specific grant. I don't think it would be fruitful. Thank you.
Thoughtful deliberation personified. Councilmember Mink.
Thank you for the discussion. I agree that we should return to discuss this issue, and I agree with the comments of Councilmember Albornoz, and so for that reason, I'll be supporting option 1.
Okay, I'll just share that there are various proposals before this body for reallocating unused ARPA funds. This is not the only instance, and if we want to have conversation about all of the ARPA funds, I would encourage us to be consistent about that and have conversation before committees make any recommendations or before money is reallocated with a majority signing on to a letter, which has happened. And so I'm going to support number 1 because it is in the best interest of this budget. And again, when we're making budgetary decisions, be it in ARPA or in FY24 budget, sometimes you allocate too much, sometimes you don't allocate enough, and you revisit those decisions. And in this instance, we might have provided too much money for a cause in the middle of a pandemic. And now that there's leftover money, we have to determine how best to use it. I think this is a good use of that funds. Council Vice President Friedson.
Yeah, I appreciate the point, and this is an important discussion. I, in the beginning, said I do think we need to look holistically at the balance of ARPA funding and get back to the conversation that Councilmember Jawanda was noting that we had several weeks ago, get answers to the questions that we had, and move forward with an approach. I did just want to note all the funding, while there are different line items, is basically the same pot of money. So while the answer to the question of Councilmember Fani Gonzalez, which is an important question, is that these are 2 different line items within that. These were earmarked funds that the council had set aside for certain purposes, but they're out of the same pot of money. So in many ways, it's a distinction without much of a difference. On the point of the majority of council members with the recommendation to the council, which we've now approved, that was money that was set aside for affordable housing programs, and the majority of council members simply said, here are the 2 programs we think would be a good idea, which the full body ultimately agreed with. That $4.5 million was not repurposed. It was just appropriated because we had already set it aside from the prior council for affordable housing programs and had yet to decide what those affordable housing programs would be, and determined that helping vulnerable homeowners stay in their homes and make necessary improvements, and helping first-time home buyers in the oversubscribed 2 programs that we have, which ran out of money and tends to run out of money about halfway through the year, and really being intentional about that was the best approach. There are other line items that either have set aside money where we haven't decided what to do, and that's what Councilmember Albornoz had suggested with the $6 million that's set aside in the food arena, and the question was, should we create capacity, which I had suggested, and am kind of withdrawing that suggestion that I had mentioned in the last conversation on an aggregation facility to look at a future-looking capacity building type of investment, or do we need to meet an urgent, immediate need, which is Councilmember Albornoz's point, which I was pointing out that I was agreeing with. Additionally to that, we have a few programs like Councilmember Jawanda's Small Business Assistance Program that was being referenced that were undersubscribed with remaining dollars. So there's really 2 areas that are left for us to discuss. One are the areas where they were underutilized and there's remaining funds within those line items, and the question of whether we reallocate those funds for similar purposes or for different purposes, and that's a policy question. And then separately, we have set aside funding like in food and like we had previously in affordable housing. And the question is, we've set this money aside, how do we deploy it? And decisions have been made to deploy it. So I just wanted to clarify that because I think there's a little bit of confusion as part of this conversation. We have 2 options before us. I've stated my opinion on that, and I'll yield back to you, Mr. President.
Last word, Councilmember Jawanda.
Just to be clear, either option funds the supplement. So we're not
correct,
because I think if you heard this conversation and you're a normal person in the public, you might think that one is to fund the working family supplement and one is not. But either one would. It's just a matter of the second option, reserves. It uses the reserves. Is that correct?
Correct. It's just the funding source
right.
for the full appropriation.
And then the decision of the $1.3 million in reserves, we could interpret that as reducing what we're able to spend in this budget, or you could just say we're comfortable with a slightly less reserve amount, which is pretty healthy, right?
Correct. Those would be the two options.
Okay, so just want to be clear, it's not a, I just want to, sometimes we think it's an either or. No, we both want to, we all want to do this. Some of us just want to come back and get the answers to the questions to see if there's a slight scope change to help the business community or others. And that's still where I am. Thank you.
Very good. So we have a question before us. All those in support of option 1, raise your hand. 2, 4, 6, 8. All those in favor of option 2, and that is 3. So option 1 prevails 8-3.
It was a Fed committee. Those were kind of Fed committee issues.
So now we're on to, thank you very much for that good conversation. Now we'll come back to the GO committee and the community engagement cluster.
Great. I know we have a number of people here representing the community engagement cluster as they make their way down. I'll say this was actually an easy budget to review for the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee. We were all in agreement. It was 3-0 on what we recommended on the list. I will run through it now, and folks can ask questions if they have it. First, for the Commission for Women, we put on the high priority list the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee at $25,000. If my memory serves me correctly, there is no funding for that at the moment for that committee. In addition, as my colleague was just talking about, internship stipends, we have $10,000 for paid internships for the Commission for Women. And that is also important, as we noted in the committee and have been talking about filling positions as a pipeline for folks to come on to county government. And we can talk about that if folks are interested in it. Our community partnerships, we have $149,613 on the high priority list. This is for language access, resources, and equipment. We spent a good deal of time on committee talking about the needs we have out there, and I know other committees have been talking about this as well, and we've talked about this as a body, so we put this as a high priority. And while many of us very much support the Montgomery County Sister Cities program, the request for an additional $50,000 was put on a priority list. For regional services, the request for additional $25,000 was put on the high priority list for neighborhood events matching fund grants. We talked about the importance of these matching fund grants to support our local neighborhoods in their efforts. And then they also requested $10,000 in public service internship programs. Oh, and actually there is a footnote here. This was a 2-1 vote on high priority. That was the only one for that. But everything else was a 3-0 vote coming out of committee.
Very good. Thank you to the committee, and thank you to everybody in the cluster. Councilmember Sales.
Thank you. Just had a quick question about the public service internship program and which positions it would go to support, because it looks like the Montgomery Sister Cities priority for a position was put to the priority list, and so I know that they are in need of a program coordinator and wanted to get more clarification on the internship program and how it would support the regional services centers and the committees. Because I believe, do all the committees have full-time staff as well?
Good morning, Louisa Cardona, Mid-County Director. The request for the internship program for the regional offices would be for 2 internships a summer. We want to pay them a good wage for a summer internship. These would be shared by the 5 regional offices. So your question, though, in terms of the committee, I think Jody can, Diane could better answer, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the request is separate from the Montgomery Sister Cities coordinator. The request for the coordinator is to have staff for Montgomery Sister Cities. The internship program, as you've heard, is very needed for those reasons. And for Montgomery Sister Cities, we currently, the only staff that Montgomery Sister Cities has is a senior fellow position that provides 8 to 10 hours per week to the 5 sister city committees and the 5 sister cities. And so therefore, everything is done by volunteers. And so what Montgomery Sister Cities is requesting is for $50,000 of an increase to their budget in order to hire a program staff to help with the coordination of all of the committees, all of the volunteer work. You saw firsthand on a recent trip how much goes into it from the volunteers, and so that's what the request is.
Okay. And so out of the other committees, the faith committee, all of the other Office of Community Clusters, how many of those committees, how many of those liaisons are full-time versus part-time?
Okay, so those are separate programs. So our community liaisons, we have 8 community liaisons that staff 8 advisory groups in OZB. So African, African American, Asian, Caribbean, Middle Eastern, LGBTQ, Latino, and faith community. Not all of them are full-time liaisons. The only community liaisons that are full-time are the faith liaison, the Asian liaison, and the Latino liaison. That's what we inherited from the last administration. The rest of the liaisons are half-time liaisons.
Okay. Okay. I yield. I would just like more information on the workloads and why some are receiving full versus part-time support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sales, and thank you to the GO committee. And I just want to extend my appreciation to all of you. You all are the eyes and ears on the ground here in the county, talking to our beautifully diverse 1.1 million residents. And so thank you for helping inform all of us about what you're hearing so that we can make life better, safer, and more vibrant for everybody. And so with that, we have a GO committee recommendation. All those in favor of their recommendation? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next up we have 3 separate items from the Transportation and Environment Committee, and the first will be the Department of Transportation General Fund. Our transportation team is here. So the T&E Committee took up a number of items. And on the reconciliation list, we placed as a high priority $30,000 for inspections of short span bridges and culverts, recognizing that we want our infrastructure to be safe. And with climate change and the increased rainflow, the culverts need to be inspected more regularly. And we also included $33,000 to maintain new subdivision streets that are accepted into the county network to make sure that new communities have new and good roads. We also approved the budget for the leaf collection fund and the DOT general fund as recommended by the county executive. And one thing that will come up in a few moments and a few items later, we talked about the Wayne Avenue garage, which would normally be within, which was being proposed $300,000 for safety enhancements of the Wayne Avenue garage. But we decided not to use the DOT general funds for that, but instead to use the parking lot district. We'll come back to that, but important point to note here because it is a departure from the county executive's proposal. Dr. Orlin, did I miss anything?
No, I'd like me to talk about the CIP amendments.
Please.
As well. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you did cover all the operating issues.
Yep, very good.
Exactly. For the CIP, starting on bottom page 4, top page 5, there were 3 recommendations of the executive, which were really just changing the funding source, didn't change the scope or the timing of the projects for residential and rural road rehabilitation, resurfacing, residential rural roads, and sidewalk and curb replacement. And I'll just keep going unless there are questions. Please interrupt. The MacArthur Boulevard bikeway improvements, similar to the executive's recommendations that you heard earlier in the winter, he recommended delaying this project by a year and a half. This project's been delayed before. The committee recommended unanimously not to delay it. The executive recommended changes to the facility planning roads and facility planning pedestrian facility and bikeways projects. These are projects which do fund the planning of eventual new roads and bikeways and sidewalks. There are a whole series of changes that are being recommended here, all in the point of actually reducing the amount of revenue that's needed for these two projects. In the case of facility planning pedestrian bikeways, reduces it by $1,810,000 in current revenue. Just run through really quickly what's being proposed there is to actually add funding for streetery improvements in Bethesda, Silver Spring, and Wheaton, to reduce the funding for 3 other studies based on a new streamlined process that DOT is using now. Rather than going through a full-fledged study of some of these projects, they can do it more quickly. For MacArthur Boulevard Bikeway Phase 1, Middlebrook Road, Wisteria Drive, multimodal improvements in Capitol View, a portion of the Capitol View Avenue, Metropolitan Avenue sidewalk. 3 other projects which have been in the program for facility planning, which now developers are actually going to be doing on their own. Great Seneca Shared Use Path, Westlake Rock Springs Complete Streets, and another portion of the Capitol View Metropolitan Avenue sidewalk. And finally, a couple of projects which he's recommending deferring the study for a couple of years, the Grosvenor Lane side path and the Goshen Road ped bike improvements. And for the facility planning roads project, there are 2 changes. One is the Parkland Drive Nicholson Lane study, again using a more streamlined process, save some money. And the other is the Hillendale, the Maryland 55 bypass project in Clarksburg, which is being the money is being taken out of the project for this because there's going to be a master plan amendment for Clarksburg, and rather than do a study and then have the master plan do something different, waiting for the master plan, that saves $920,000 in current revenue. So those are both recommended by the executive. All these recommendations, by the way, are unanimous recommendations of the committee as well. The Bowie Mill Road Bikeway, the short story of it here is that we received another $6.3 million from the General Assembly. Thank you, District 14 folks. Helped, I'm sure, by a particular council member, which brings the total amount of money from the state to about $7.8 million for this project. And because the council approved an amendment last fall to accelerate the design, the project schedule is accelerated by 6 months. So the project now looks like it'll be finished late in calendar 2027. Rather than spring of 2028. And then there's some other amendments that came over lately in April due to state aid. One actually is not state aid, but it's related. There is currently a path, the Twin Brook Connector Trail, running along the south side of Veersmill Road between Parkland Drive and Aspen Hill Road. It's basically created out of the shoulder of that road. If you've driven from Rockville to Wheaton, you see it, and there's just basically a guardrail separating what is a bikeway versus the rest of the road. Well, that section that's being separated off is actually where the Veersmill Road BRT is going to be, and so that path has to be relocated into the park. So there's $1.5 million here in county money that would be used to relocate that path. Because it would be within the park, it would be a Parks Department that would actually manage the project, but it's in the budget, in the DOT's budget as well. Then District 14 again comes through. They approved $1 million for extending, designing and building an extension of the sidewalk along Route 198, on the south side 198 from Dino Drive to McNew Road. There's already a path, a sidewalk goes from Dino Drive into the Burtonsville Town Center. There's another $2.84 million for street lighting along US 29 between Four Corners and Burtonsville. There's another $1 million that's for the Burtonsville Park and Ride lot improvements for designing that garage. And finally, there's $160,000 being added in the traffic signals project to basically interconnect warning beacons in front of several schools with the nearby traffic signals. And again, the committee recommends approval on all of these.
Thank you, Dr. Orlin. I just want to re-up our appreciation to the District 14 delegation who came through on 3 of the CIP projects. So thank you to Senator Zucker and Delegates Kaiser, Queen, Mercu North, and former Delegate Lutke. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Lutke.
Well, that was all I wanted to say. I wanted to thank, and I wanted to thank all of you for your collaboration with me coming on board in the middle of several of these projects, and to say I really appreciate the acceleration of the Buimo Bikeway, and of course the team at D14. Last night they referred to me as their 5th member of the D14 team. To help make sure that we're bringing the best to bear for our residents. So thank you.
Thank you. 5th member of D14, Councilmember Mink.
I third the sentiments and appreciate the work of the TNE committee on this, and wanted to especially thank you all for the thoughtful discussion of the memo that I sent over on resurfacing, and just wanted to lift that up with the full council and remind folks again about that, that we're looking forward to following up with the discussion about prioritizing and community outreach around road inspection and resurfacing projects.
Very good. Not seeing any other comments. All those in, Councilmember Fonda Gonzalez.
Very, very quickly, I just want to thank the TNE committee for recommending the recommendation on the Twin Brook Connection Trail. It's going to be done by the Parks Department, and it's a very great addition, and I completely trust the Parks Department to work on this, and thank you so much for that.
Very good. With that, all those in favor of the T&E committee recommendation for the DOT General Fund, raise your hand, and that is unanimous. We will now move on to the DOT Mass Transit Fund, and Mass Transit Fund helps with all of the county's public transportation network and the ride-on bus system, which is one of the largest bus systems in the entire East Coast. And so what the T&E committee did was we placed on a high priority the replacement of 3 Bethesda circulator buses that would be zero-emission vehicles. That's at $308,000. And we also supported enhanced funding for 4 sub-programs within the Transportation Services Improvement Fund. And we actually made some cost reductions here. We eliminated $20,000 for a report that would have been produced to discuss the Transportation Management District. And the reason that we zeroed out funding for this report is because while we are waiting for so many people to return to the office, we didn't think now is the correct time to create a report about people returning to the office and about transportation management districts. And so we can come back to that at a later date when hopefully more people are in our downtown urban areas. And we also zeroed out $20,000 for a similarly related survey for commuters. And so hopefully there will be a point in time when we can talk about transportation management and commuter surveys, but we didn't think now was the right time, so we zeroed out a total of $40,000 there. The rest of the fund balance, we accepted the county executive's recommendations, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Orlin to tick through the CIP.
Thank you again. The executive is recommending a new project of $1,105,000 to replace certain fare box equipment within the ride-on buses, particularly the fare vaults and the in the fare boxes. In the facility planning mass transit project, similar to the other 2 facility planning projects we mentioned, there are a couple of reductions being proposed here, totaling a savings of $960,000. One is no longer doing the study for the Clarksburg Transit Center. That's actually going to be included as part of the Maryland 55 North-South project, so it would be duplicative if we did that. Also, there's had been a study for the Hillendale bus layover in the White Oak area, actually in Hillendale, but the developer of the Hillendale Gateway Center is moving forward with that project. There's no need to spend planning money for that. Again, in all these cases, T&E recommended approval unanimously of these amendments. The North Bethesda Metro Station North Entrance, there's some more state funds that are available, but this project description is different than we've seen in the past, recognizing really all the state money that's come for this project is going not to the county, but to WMATA. This is on WMATA property. It will be a WMATA project. There is $8,115,000 that had been in the project in GEO bonds. It's still there. Recognizing, however, that we probably won't have a good feeling for how expensive the project really will be for about another year or so. So I'm sure this will be something to be revisited as part of the next CIP. And then the biggest changes are in the 3 bus rapid transit projects and the associated project for the bicycle pedestrian priority area in Veers Mill. Lots of changes here, money flowing back and forth. The net result to the county government funding is nil. But it does recognize some changes, particularly the fact that the Opportunity Lanes project has not moved forward yet, which had been anticipated last year, plus a new funding source from the state in terms of lottery revenue, and several other changes. And so I've asked the director to give a brief overview of all 4 of these.
Good morning, and thank you, council members. And I'll start with the Veers Mill project because that's the one that is furthest along in the pipeline. That project has been accepted into the Federal Capital Infrastructure Grants Program, so we've received guidance from FTA on different cost contingencies and other ways that we need to account for this project. So there's some significant cost increases related to FTA required contingencies and estimating procedures. There are a couple other changes to this. We have eliminated a standalone project, the Veers Mill Road BIPA project, and incorporated all of those improvements into the bus rapid transit project so that we're presenting this as one project to the FTA, and they are very excited to have multimodal improvements as part of the bus rapid transit program, as we learned from them a week or so ago. The other elements of the cost changes in this project are related to the cost of the vehicles. The project had been originally budgeted with conventionally fueled vehicles. We now understand that hydrogen fueled vehicles are likely going to be needed for the bus rapid transit routes because of their long period in service and mileage limitations with battery electric, which are slightly cheaper vehicles. But we've included that in this as well. So this project, as represented here, is fully funded based on what we know the cost to be, and with an anticipated federal contribution of around 60%. We are hoping to have the project rated and recommendation from FTA within this year so that it can be included in the next federal budget. The other elements of this, as Dr. Orland said, there had been an assumption of Opportunity Lanes funding from MDOT. MDOT has not advanced work or decision-making in Opportunity Lanes at this time, so we have deferred use of any potential Opportunity Lanes funding till FY25 at the earliest, and we'll revisit that as the state continues to plot their course for improvements to the American Legion Bridge in 270. With that, we needed to fund with other state aid the design activities on Maryland 355 North and South, because those had been programmed using Opportunity Lanes funds that were not realized last year. So we have substituted state aid that we've received in the last 2 state legislative cycles so that we can design the entirety of the 355 project as one effort. And we have also been coordinating with FTA on the 355 project, and they have advised us they'd like to see us do that project in the design phase and the environmental clearance phase as one project, and if we need to implement it in smaller phases due to fiscal capacity, we can do that. So the entire design will be advanced with that now. The design is very far along for the central portion, which the council funded that design activity last year, and we have switched emphasis to north and south so that we can get it caught up and have a unified design for that project. The other bus rapid I guess those are the 2 main changes to the bus rapid transit program that are in here, and we already talked about the Twin Brook Connector Trail, where we've worked with Parks to come up with that funding arrangement to move the trail out of Veers Mill Road so that that project can be implemented. I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Great, very appreciate those updates. Very exciting work to hear, particularly regarding how far along the Beers Mill Road BRT is, and to look at it in a holistic, take a look at it in a holistic manner, recognizing that Beers Mill and Randolph, that major intersection there, needs a lot of rethinking, because those stretches of roads are really dangerous. So as we redesign the roads for BRT, we need to redesign them for pedestrians and bicyclists, and so I'm glad that's the approach that the department is taking. And then with regard to 355, recognizing that managed lanes is on hold, that as we continue planning, I will continue saying that we need to focus on the northern part of 355. I know we've had ongoing conversations about portioning it out into thirds. We have deferred to the engineers in the department and are looking at it as one long continuous stretch. 26 miles, is that it?
22.
22 miles. But as we continue designing them, we need to provide the transit where it is most needed, and that is in the northern part of 355. So let's keep an eye on that. And then last thing I'll say before I open it up to colleagues, with all the effort in Washington, D.C. and the District of Columbia right now regarding the various proposals for BRT and for fare-free buses, can you just give us a status update as to what it would cost in this budget if we were to go fare-free on our ride-on system?
I believe we talked about this committee, I think it'd be about $9 million to make ride-on for free, and it would cost about twice as much as that to also then make Metrobus in the county free.
Correct. Thank you. So $9 million for ride-on, about $9 million for Metrobus, and WMATA recently said in response to the district's proposal that they would like it to be holistic and would like all the regional transit operators to adopt a similar proposal, which I think would be great. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity in this budget because we're not really adding things to this budget because we don't have the resources, but I think it's an important footnote in this conversation that if people want to get toward that goal and we want to be part of a regional transportation network that provides transit equity for all, that we keep those numbers in the forefront of our mind.
And I would like to make sure that the council knows that WMATA in their budget has a equity-based fare program that they're rolling out region-wide now. We're going to be working with them to promote that in Montgomery County so that for people who qualify for that program, they'll have the dollar fare on either system, which is not the case right now.
And thank you for re-upping that. They've been talking about that for about 2 years with a pilot program in the district, and so now they'll be incorporating that more. So look forward to that. Turn to colleagues. Councilmember Sales.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just, since I'm new, I've known about the Bethesda circulator for quite some time. I know that it's a free bus service. I'm just wondering what the idea behind it was, how we are sustaining the bus service. Is the BUP paying for it? Are we subsidizing this free bus service in Bethesda?
Happy to talk a little bit about that. The Bethesda circulator is operated by BUP as part of the urban district budget. Obviously, that urban district budget has a significant funding component from DOT related to the parking lot district. It had originally been conceived to allow kind of one-stop access to Bethesda so that you could drive to Bethesda if you're driving, park in one location and visit businesses or residences or whatever you're doing in Bethesda without driving around the Bethesda business district. In this proposal, I think there's a recommendation to increase that budget so that those vehicles can be, they need to be replaced, and they can be replaced with electric vehicles rather than conventionally fueled vehicles.
So I know that there's other places in our county that would love to have a free bus service. We know the cost of operating that bus service. Do you have any information on the rideability, like the ridership of the BUP?
Not in front of me today.
Circulator?
We do have two other circulators in the county. Actually, maybe there's only one. There's only one in Silver Spring, the Van Gogh, that is also a free service that is very similar to the Bethesda circulator, but it's operated as a ride-on.
And so how do you decide where to launch the circulators? Is it only in the?
It's traditionally only been in the urban districts, the 2 of the 3 urban districts.
M. O'Brien, Deputy Director of DOT. The circulator was launched before my time in the role. Glenn may know a little bit more. I believe primarily because of the utilization and oversubscription of a lot of the garages in Bethesda back at the time, people needed to park in other garages but have the ability to get around to other destinations. So it was launched, I think, as a 8-minute shuttle with a figure 8 route, basically circulating beyond the garages, and it has evolved from there.
Okay, I would like to see the ridership, the usage of these circulators, and any thoughts or ideas about other places this would be useful to think about having.
There have been proposals for other circulators, principally in the East County.
Okay.
That hasn't been funded to date. We haven't expanded the ride-on service really at all recently. This budget actually maintains the current service level, which is less than the pre-pandemic service level. The other location that I'm aware of where circulator has been discussed is in the Wheaton Central Business District. Again, not implemented to date. And we have had other conversations about circulator type services in the Shady Grove Life Sciences Cluster and in North Bethesda, but again, those have not been implemented to date.
Okay, because I know the Flash Bus was launched through the Department of Transportation, and so that's not a free bus, it's just a quicker bus.
Right, that's the first of the county's BRT implementations. I didn't talk about the other projects that weren't amended, but there's a design underway for a dedicated lane as part of that bus rapid transit project, and there are 2 other Flash projects that are in the planning process, one on New Hampshire Avenue and one the North Bethesda Transitway, which links the Montgomery Mall, Westfield Montgomery area through the Rock Spring Business Center up Old Georgetown Road to the North Bethesda Metro. Those 2 are in the planning stage right now. And there are 2 more that haven't been initiated yet. That we're contemplating whether or not to start those projects or focus on the ones that are already in planning.
Yeah, I'm just, I think after this budget, I know this is a tight budget, but it would be helpful to learn more about why we have subsidized buses in some places and why not others, and how we're evaluating the best use of these buses. Thank you.
Very much appreciate those comments and questions. Just real quickly, we have other people in the queue, but related to where our buses are and why, can you give us just a brief update on the reimagining ride-on, which relates to this question?
Yes, we've been underway on a project that's looking at the entirety of the ride-on system and looking at whether the service that we're delivering now is meeting the needs of the community as best as it can with the resources we have, or whether we want to restructure some of those routes to for example, Mr. Jawando has brought out serving community support facilities like rec centers, libraries, et cetera, more effectively. That project is underway. We've looked at all the existing conditions of the ride-on service. So what's the ridership? What are the costs? Where are the routes? We've done setting goals and objectives for the system. We've looked at what the demand patterns really look like, and we should have service recommendations later this fall. Okay. There are a series of public meetings that are scheduled in the next few weeks where we're going to get more input on some of those service concepts and what people would like to see out of that system. Mr. Wolvanen mentioned to me the other thing that's in our ride-on network is the Flex service, which is an on-demand service. Mm-hmm. It's not free, but it's on-demand. You can use an app to order or a call center to order if you're not comfortable with the app, and that serves the Wheaton and Glenmont areas and the Rockville area here as well, that are sort of like a circulator but not on a fixed route.
Yeah, I mean, if I would just want more information, if we're subsidizing buses in one part of our county, what is the return on that investment, and what is the proposal to evaluate opportunities to do that in other parts of our county? Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Mink.
Thank you. Yeah, two quick things. Wanted to second the comments of Council President Glass around the need to look ahead at moving towards making more public transit free to more people. I think obviously we don't have the budget for it now, but it's of course going to be a key part of our long-term climate solutions, as well as freeing up traffic on our roads as we do things like create the dedicated bus lanes. We need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help people make the shift from driving to those bus lanes who want to and are able to, thus freeing up our roads for more people who are driving. All these things are very much connected and certainly important to many of our goals. So thank you for raising that. And then also wanted to thank the committee for continuing the call and ride subsidy. Super important. That was funded, of course, through grant funds from COG through August 2023. And so with this subsidy, then being able to be continued, we now have our low-income participants who are actually going to be able to continue to participate in this program that is working quite well. So thank you for that as well.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
Obviously, I have to say thank you so much for all your work on the Girls Mill Corridor, and it's just so exciting to see improvement there and that the things are moving forward. I just want to reemphasize the need of, every time we do transportation improvements in an area, especially on the Girls Mill Corridor around the Twin Brook area, which is part of my district alongside Councilmember Sidney Catt's district, we need green infrastructure there. The flooding situations that are happening there are really, somebody died almost 2 years ago at this point, and I know that the county is doing a comprehensive flooding plan right now. So whatever improvements are happening, making sure that we are working in collaboration with those folks working on the flooding plan is really critical. And that's all I really wanted to say, just to say that I see you as a great partner, and I thank you for all your work, not just in my district, countywide, but you have been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other comments. All those in support of the Department of Transportation Mass Transit Fund as recommended by the T&E Committee, raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you all. And the last T&E item this morning is regarding the parking lot districts. Parking lot districts remain a very interesting budgetary item, and one that since I've come to the council I've said that we need to have a broader conversation about. And I think the theme of this morning is having broader conversations about a number of items. And so I look forward to doing that work with everybody outside of the budget. But the top line here is that our parking lot districts are healthy with the reserves that they have, and so the T&E committee has made a number of decisions based on those reserves to better support the downtown central business district areas. One of the decisions that the T&E committee made was to allocate $300,000 from the parking lot district to create a fence, safety fence on the Wayne Avenue garage, at the top of the Wayne Avenue garage. As I noted before, the county executive originally proposed $300,000 to come from the DOT general fund, but we have reallocated those funds from the parking lot district, and I'll allow the district council member in a few minutes to elaborate a little bit more about that. We've also increased the Wheaton parking lot district contribution to the Wheaton urban district by $200,000 to continue the good work and important work of that area, downtown area, keeping Wheaton clean, safe, and vibrant. And then we also added $600,000 for maintenance for the parking in Bethesda, recognizing that there were some needs there that had gone unmet over the last number of years, but as people are returning, we want to make sure that those parking structures are safe for everybody. And Dr. Orland, I think that is it. Did I miss anything?
Just a couple things.
Okay.
One, there's also the committee added $600,000 also to the Silver Spring facility renovations project as well, for the same reasons that you just mentioned for Bethesda. And the thing I just want to go back to the $200,000 from the Wheaton parking lot district to the Wheaton urban district. It's not more money for the Wheaton urban district. Basically, it supplants $200,000 of a general fund subsidy to the Wheaton. So it's no net additional money for Wheaton, but it changes the source and so saves $200,000 from the general fund.
Very good.
I just wanted to give a little bit of context for the performance of the parking lot districts. The recommendations of the T&E committee are a sound financial plan for the coming year, but the parking lot districts are continuing to struggle, as we talked about a little bit ago, with the return to work being less than we might have expected. Revenues are significantly down from pre-pandemic levels, and there are a couple reasons why this plan works. One is there's been tremendous deferral of maintenance activities in these parking facilities over the last 3 years. So as the revenues look to increase, we would like to start to ramp that capital improvement program back up so we can keep these facilities in good repair. And I just want to be completely transparent. There are expansion of hours of paid parking in the PLDs included in this recommendation. That's absolutely necessary to retain the fund balances and allow adequate maintenance of the facilities. And we are trying to work to normalize the rate programs across all of the PLDs as we go through each budget to get them more in sync, because there have been very substantial differences across the PLDs, and I don't think that was necessarily fair to the different business districts to have a differential approach. So we are working to try to normalize that across the PLDs in this budget.
So appreciate you stating that. Can you once again just explain why the county executive's recommendations are what you just shared?
Yes, we're adding Saturday to parking garage charging in Silver Spring and Bethesda. It had already been in place in Wheaton, and that is necessary in order to fund the parking operations, the urban district transfers, and the facility maintenance in those parking lot districts.
Thank you. Colleagues, any comments? Councilmember Stewart.
Great, thank you so much, and I just want to thank my colleagues on T&E and the staff for the inclusion of the $300,000 for the fence on top of the Wayne Avenue garage. Just to familiarize folks with this area, this is the Wayne Avenue garage and where the Regal Theater is actually kind of share a roof. And unfortunately, some young people in our community and surrounding jurisdictions do like to go up there. Right now you can get up to the top of the Wayne Avenue garage and then they hop over, but it's actually not safe. It's a pretty big distance, and I was up there, and actually I know Director Conklin, they do have cameras up there to monitor and other things, so which are triggered, so you knew when I was there looking at it, but really in order, and they've tried, our police department, Department of Transportation, as well as the folks at Regal have tried to address this situation, and nothing has worked to this point. And so for safety reasons, this solution looks like the best way to proceed, and we thought it worked best here in the PDL. So I just want to thank everyone for that work. And in addition, as Director Conklin was talking about, as we're increasing the pay hours in downtown Silver Spring, we did have a conversation about the importance to really get to that deferred maintenance so that people feel safe and want to park their cars in our garages, and I'm glad we are moving in that direction. And I do want to say we did, just for particularly residents of downtown Silver Spring who may be listening or watching this later, we did have a conversation because in this budget there are not cameras for the stairwells. It's the stairwells of the parking garages. There are cameras in and around the parking garages, but that has been discussed over the last few months, and I know that there is work in the county executive's office to look at funding for that, but it is a point I raised yesterday when we were talking with our police department about some of the issues in downtown Silver Spring. Cameras in the stairwells of the parking garages is something that the residents have been talking about and asking for. So just want to make that point. And also, while I have the mic, I just want to say my apologies that I am going to need to leave our session a little before noon. I apologize to folks who are here, but I am chairing the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments board meeting today. And so we'll need to leave here, and we'll catch up with folks after. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Mink.
Thank you. We will miss you. I wonder if you could just briefly talk about the pay-by-plate system. We saw a sign at the Ellsworth Garage that there's going to be a transition around July 3rd, and I don't know if this particularly has budget implications, but I didn't know about this, and so just wanted to check in if it does or not, but also I'm sure we're going to be getting questions from constituents any moment now.
It doesn't have a direct budget implication. We are trying to move to more cost-effective ways to charge for parking and manage the parking. So you're seeing fewer and fewer garages that are staffed with a booth and a ticket system. Those are an older style, so we've moved to pay by plate, or where you go to the machine, you type in your license plate and pay, and that's recorded, and the enforcement can be done in an automated way with a license plate reader. We also have some locations that are pay by space, so there's a space number and you pay by the parking space you're in. And I think all of our facilities have the Park Mobile payment option so that you can do it online. And we have another mobile parking vendor that's coming online as well, so that if you, for some reason, don't like Park Mobile, you'll have choices in which provider you're able to use. But all of the DOT facilities are moving away from meters, single space meters, and moving away from access control revenue collection systems.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Balcom.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do. I just want to commend Councilmember Stewart for her strong advocacy for her community and safety in downtown Silver Spring. So I appreciate that. But I also did want to uplift the additional funding for the facility renovations. We had a long discussion about that, and everyone on the committee felt that not only for the physical safety of making sure that we have that we don't run into problems down the road, but also in the security measures. I think that it will provide a more open, inviting garages. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing how that work progresses and hopefully making a change in the feeling of welcoming into our parking lot district. So just wanted to highlight that. Thanks.
Thank you, and also want to extend my appreciation to Councilmember Stewart for the advocacy for the Wayne Avenue parking garage. So with that, we have a T&E recommendation for the DOT parking lot districts. All those in support of the recommendation? That is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Now I'm going to turn it over to the Chair of the Health and Human Services Committee to talk about the Office of Human Rights. Chair Albornoz.
Thank you, Mr. President, and invite Mr. Stowe, Director Stowe, and Ms. Singleton, and everybody here, and Ms. Singh. Well, as Director Stowe is getting situated, I just want to once again, always, when we can, take the opportunity to express our deepest appreciation to you, Director Stowe. For those of us that had the opportunity to attend the dinner that we had with the members of the commission a couple of months ago, it was a wonderful evening filled with great dialogue, and a lot of partnership and alliances were discussed, and this council looks very much forward to working with your office. And speaking of that office, you continue to do outstanding work, and your office continues to punch above its weight. But I know you'd love to have a little bit more weight so you didn't have to always punch above it. And so the recommendation by the executive is a modest one, but we know will go a long way in helping you carry out the important mission of your office. And the total increases that the committee supported were a little over $300,000, $301,662. I also want to thank Ms. Singleton, who did an outstanding job facilitating the conversation among the committee. And specifically, the line items that we discussed were adding $70,000 for the Juneteenth and Dr. Martin Luther King celebrations. I will just note for my new colleagues that this was not funded in the previous FY23 year's budget. And the previous council had said we would revisit it, and we never did. And so it is important to annualize the funding for these very important recognitions, which each of us participate in and look forward to because of their symbolism, because of how they bring the community together. This also includes the addition of $56,000 of a one-time expense for the Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission, the addition of $40,000 one-time expense for hosting the Human Rights Agencies Conference, and adding $53,162 for a part-time program manager 1 for operational support. And I will note that the department continues to be significantly understaffed from the pre-recession levels of fiscal year 2009. And so they've been able to carry out their mission with a lot more work added by the previous council and this one as well. And we appreciate those efforts. So there were just 2 areas that were 2-1. One was a restoration of $40,000 for the Ban the Box campaign. Director Stowe acknowledged the need for us to be able to communicate to the public that this is now law, and this would help him and his team do so. And then adding an additional $40,000 for the Community Reinvestment Act initiative, and then there was a 3-0 vote to support and to moving down from high priority to priority, an increase of $2,500 for the biennial Hall of Fame event. Ms. Singleton, I will turn it over to you to see if I missed anything.
No, thank you. You did not.
So, and with that, that is the committee recommendation, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Jawanda.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the HHS committee work on this item. Appreciate you, Director Stowe, and your team, and Ms. Singleton, and our staff from OMB. Thank you for this, the county executive's budget. We often talk about, and I've been chiefly one of the chiefly responsible people for giving you more work, you know, but it's good work or good trouble, as we know, you know, and I'm glad we're going to be able to give you a little support here and prioritize it as a high priority. I want to thank the committee. I wrote a memo to the committee expressing support for these items, particularly the Ban the Box funding, because it's you don't have a right unless you know you have a right, and you can't enforce it unless you know you have it. And so this is really, really important at a time when we want to encourage our formerly incarcerated individuals to not only get employment but get housing, which is they need to be aware of that protection as well. So really appreciate that, and just would encourage us to keep these as high priorities. And also very proud of the work of the Reconciliation and Remembrance Commission that is documenting and taking very seriously the role of our history here and how that informs our present and future. So very happy with the committee's work, and just hope we keep it there, and thank you all for everything you're doing.
I just want to extend my appreciation to the committee and to you, Mr. Stowe, of course, for the work that you and all of the commissions you staff and help support. There's a lot of good work that's being done. There's a lot of good items in this budget, and so again, appreciate the HHS committee's work here. Not seeing any other comments. Councilmember Balcom.
Very, very quick. Juneteenth is going to be in Germantown on June 17th. If you haven't been, it's such a fabulous, fabulous program, and I appreciate all the work that you do. So please put it on your calendar and please come. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you for elevating that. And with that, we have a committee recommendation for the Office of Human Rights. All those in favor, raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it.
Now we have a number of items within the Education and Culture Committee, the first of which is Arts and Humanities Council NDA, so I'll turn it over to Chair Jawanda.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I see Ms. Chen, and I thought I saw...
Oh, she's back.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Ms. Jenkins. These were... there's a little going on here, so I'll start and then ask Ms. Chen to play cleanup for me. The recommended budget for the Arts and Humanities Council, Montgomery County, includes a 3% inflationary increase to the nonprofit provider contracts. I know we've discussed that being standard across the board. It's inclusive of a one-time enhancement of $175 in re-granting funds. In the committee when we had our work session, we made several increases, which are outlined in the chart here, and put it into tranches. And I want to ask we'll present the recommendation, and then I'll see if Ms. Jenkins or Ms. Chen have anything to add, just to provide further context here. But the needs of our arts and humanities community have not gone down. If anything, they've increased in this time as we've tried to come out of the pandemic. Unfortunately, the work that the Arts and Humanities Commission is doing was not reflected in the budget that we received from the executive. And so we did put several things on the reconciliation list as a high priority, including the 3% inflationary increase in the regranting of funds that I discussed, but also 2 tranches of $300,000 for regranting. This is to support our arts and humanities communities, the many organizations that need the support and have relied on it over the last several years. Know it's a tough budget, but we put the 3rd tranche on as a priority. And I want to just allow Ms. Chen, and this seems like a lot of money because it is, but I want you to explain the context of why we did that, and the kind of reductions that came over under the county executive's budget.
Hi, I'll start off and then we'll punt over to Ms. Jenkins over here. For this NDA, it was a 3% inflationary increase with an elimination of a one-time $175,000 regranting funds that the council approved last budget, which gave an effective rate of 0.2% increase, which would be insufficient for the grants, the 90% of funds that the Arts Humanities Council regrants out. So you'll see in the first chart, it's a 3% inflationary increase, high priority, and the fiscal year 23 regranting funds, re-adding the $175,000 to restore to what the contracts are from last year. And the committee additions are actually a fiscal year 23 and a 24 make up. It's demand that has been from the COVID relief fund. So the Arts and Humanities Council did such a great job with the opening 2 rounds of relief funds over $6 million that the sector itself grew over 30%, which means this is actually a calculated demand for each year. Fiscal year 23 of $500,000, fiscal year 24 of $500,000. And so what you see here is 3 tranches to make up funds that have already been tracked as demand from the community.
And Ms. Jenkins, do you have anything to add just briefly on that? Or
just briefly, I'll say that this funding is to support small businesses in the arts and humanities sector. So as we're thinking about economic development, and all conversations today have been focused on the budget pillars, let me say that this leans directly into both equity and economic development and small business support that we still see needs scaffolding as we continue to move through the pandemic. I appreciate your support.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Jenkins. That's an important point, and you all over several years have done a great job of digging deeper and getting to different organizations that represent the full breadth of our community, and that demand is here and ever present, and it's important. So with that, Mr. President, that's the committee recommendation. There was a 3-0 recommendation. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Chen.
Just so that I say everything correctly, because this is what we got into last year. The $175,000 was a one-time. We're not going to do that again, or the calculation will be off again. So this is ongoing addition to the base funding, and to clear very specifically that the Arts Humanities Council is a 10 to 12% administration amount of their budget, and these funds are 100% going to regranting, not to the administration of the entity.
Thank you for making that clear.
Very good. Thank you for that report out. Councilmember Fana Gonzalez.
Very quickly, and I loved your comments, Ms. Jenkins, because the Arts and Humanities Council, it is part of economic development. Arts is part of economic development. And just to make it brief, I fully support the committee recommendation, and I look forward to continue working with you.
we all look forward to continuing working with you and all of our artists of various sizes throughout the county. We appreciate everything that you do to bring joy and drama to our lives. And jobs. Joy, drama, and jobs. I like that.
Drama with a J, though.
There you go. That's good. So with that, we have an Education Committee recommendation. All those in favor for the Arts and Humanities Council NDA, and that is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Turn it back over to Chair Jawanda to talk about libraries budget.
And I'll turn it over to our new lead for libraries, Councilmember Mink.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to our friends from the libraries. This is a pretty straightforward one, also 3-0. I'll wait for our friends to get settled. Welcome. If we can find space, great. So the E&C committee made a tweak to the council staff recommendations. We're looking at 2 items here: a lapse recalculation and additional funding for the world languages collection. Given the staffing needs that we have at our libraries that I think we're all very aware of, and how much our libraries do for our communities, it's important for us to focus on ensuring that we get our libraries fully staffed up again. So the county executive budget does provide a lapse recalculation there to facilitate that hiring. And I wanted to note that our libraries have been one of our most successful departments in actually filling those positions. So we want to make sure that we continue to give them all of the tools they need, because they are really using it. They are providing a model here for what we want to see, and I'll turn it over to you to talk about that in a moment. But also want to note that the vast majority of those vacancies are in active recruitment. They have been very successful so far as well, and the vast majority of those are public facing. So these are needed positions, and we need to again make sure that we have the tools there. World languages collection is also a point of pride for us. It is really just budgetary constraints. It's still on the reconciliation list, but we do have it as priority now, because we want to make sure that we get what we need in terms of addressing our recruitment issues here. Ms. Chen or Dr. Vassallo, would you like to speak to the Director Vassallo? Well, moment.
Thank you, Councilmember Mink, and good morning to Council President Glass, Vice President Friedson, and other members of Council. I always get promoted to having a doctorate, and it's wonderful, but I don't, to be honest. So as you mentioned, Councilmember Mink, libraries have worked very diligently to fill our vacancies. We do have a presentation that we can give you all verbally about where we are as of yesterday with hiring our vacancies. I do have our former HR manager, legitimately Dr. Louie Whedon, with us today. She is now, of course, as you know, Deputy Director of County OHR. So coming out of the pandemic and having implemented our strategic plan last year, all of you know that we are focusing on particular populations of the county that need library services to be successful in life. So the strategic goals include focus on early literacy, focus on service to teens, service to those for whom English is not the first language, and focus on those for whom digital literacy can be a barrier to success in employment or generally in life. The reduction in our lapse target will allow us to continue with filling positions. As council member noted, most of these are forward-facing direct customer service positions. These will allow us to continue to make progress in our strategic goals through fiscal year 24. The thing to remember about libraries and their staffing is that in order to support the programs that the libraries provide, such as the story times, other help with electronic resources, even the more traditional library services like book clubs, so on and so forth. In order to be able to do that, we need the staff to both sit the public service desks and also to present the programs. So having full staffing or moving towards full staffing for our department will allow us to continue in our mission. And I will take questions now, or if you would like more information, more detail about where we are with our hiring, we'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay, turn over to colleagues for questions or comments.
I'll just want for once, I'll ask a question because I do think it's important just to get out. The deputy director of our OHR was so good, she got poached from libraries. And so if you could just give a snapshot of where you started and where you are now of the vacancies, because I think it's an important point to hear.
Good morning, Councilmember President and Council members. Just a quick snapshot. I would like to say back in June of 2022, we were at 102 vacancies. As of today or last night, we are currently at 59 vacancies. 44 of those vacancies we're actively recruiting, and 15, we have 7 that are pending reannouncements, and the other 8 we just have decision memos in just to do some reorganization and reclassification with some of our positions. Having said that, I also like to give the good news that within the past year, we have brought on 118 personnel or had several transactions, new and internal. We brought in 64 new personnel to MCPL, to the county that were not previously hired, not previously working with us. I do want to add this. The last time I briefed at the committee, we had 103 personnel. As of today, we have 118. So we've made great strides over that past couple of weeks. In addition to that, I want to say we've also offered 54 VTO, which is voluntary transfer opportunities for our employees internal to retain them. We talk about recruitment and retention and retaining our current employees. So this is an opportunity for them to kind of move in within our organization to do different things to make them more career ready. I also like to add that out of the 118 that we have hired and brought on board, we've only lost 24 personnel, and that's due to retirements, some resignations, and 2 terminations. So as I mentioned, overall we have 59 vacancies. I'm glad to say that, and we're actively working on 44, and 15 will soon be touched within the next couple of months if the budget is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the great work. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. That is good work. And so, again, as we talked about this morning, vacancies, and I know Director Fasello has communicated with me the good work that you all are doing. It is good to hear. And I know that our families, our kids, our seniors, and anybody who needs library services will benefit. And it is a good common good, so thank you. So with that, we have Education and Culture Committee recommendation for our Department of Libraries budget. All those in favor? And that is approved. Thank you all very much. And from the broader libraries, we will now go to the Tacoma Park Library Payment NDA. Chair Jawanda?
Yes, this is do you want to do this one? Go ahead. Keep it going.
We will continue yielding.
Yes.
Yes.
Pass it on. This is an easy one. Welcome. So our Tacoma Park Library is funded based on a historical formula that remains in place. And so we are continuing that funding here today. That was, again, a 3-0 vote. I did want to note that it's a funding formula that hasn't changed in a very, very long time. So add this to the list of things that we would like to return to at some point that is not right now. Would you like to add anything or provide any context?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We have been sort of investigating that funding formula with Carolyn. She's been very helpful with it. I'm still relatively new, so I'm sort of learning the history of this funding structure. But I am hoping that we will have opportunities in the future to expand the funding that we receive from the county, since we are not eligible for state library funding in sort of our unique municipal library situation. But we do provide a lot of services to the county, and in particular have really focused our efforts on complementing the county library services rather than duplicating.
Wonderful. Thank you. Questions or comments from colleagues?
Well, I appreciate the lead for saying that the conversation will continue, a much needed conversation, and I assure the conversation will continue because the district council member and former mayor of Tacoma Park, I'm sure, would like to be part of that conversation. And so while she is off doing important work with COG, we have a recommendation from the Education and Culture Committee, so all those in favor of the Tacoma Park Library Payment NDA, and that is approved. Thank you. To be continued. And now we will invite Ms. Stevens up to talk about the Montgomery Coalition for Adult English Literacy, McHale NDA. Chair Jawanda.
Thank you. And always, as our Tacoma Park library friends leave, always a reminder: if you get a book from their library, return it to their library. Don't return it to MCPL. Or yeah, Montgomery County, because it's a different system. Good to see you, Ms. Michelson. Good to see you. We have our McHale, Montgomery Coalition for Adult English Literacy. This was also a 3-0 vote. They do great work, great work, and have expanded to approaching. You want to approach 15,000, but you're over 11,000 now, folks, that we're helping through their programming and partnering with so many other great local organizations. This is a very straightforward budget. This would support their operating and grant expenses. The recommended budget, it would increase it. There are two items here, and I'll have Ms. Chen and Ms. Stevens talk about these from $2,113,623 to $2,277,000. So that was in two buckets of high priority of $163,409 and a $35,000 ad as well. But maybe Ms. Chen, you can describe those two, and if we have any additional comments.
Just a fiscal note or a technical note that this is in together as 198,409. I split it up so it's clear from the budget document as well. This is for operating and grant expenses, so operating support for the administration of McHale as well as for the re-granting that it does. Just a note that McHale has been a team player in previous years during COVID by taking cuts or holding out on and asking for increases. So this is listed as a high priority in its totality.
Ms. Stevens, anything to add?
No, I just, as always, Kathy Stevens with McHale. I want to thank the entire council and, of course, the executive for the support for McHale. We are unique in the state and, honestly, the country as a leader in looking at a coalition, building a system. And systems, as you all know, are more efficient in delivery of services. So not only are we coordinating that on the front end now with our small community learning groups in communities where we know there's increased need and to meet our own equity strategic plan, but continuing to support the system that has been built and grown over the last 15 years. So just would highlight that for the council, particularly new council members, that this is we are a backbone of a system, and to grow the system we need to grow and meet the requests from our grant partners, because we can see that they are stepping up to the plate to serve even more adult learners this year. Thus the little increase ask that we added based on the data that we had received in the grant applications that we had received after the county executive so generously had made the first increase. We knew we needed more. The increase from the grant request is closer to $300,000. We've not requested that at all, and of course we will work with them to do whatever they can to meet their needs. So thank you.
And obviously, whatever we give you is not going to be what the need is. So it's an important program.
Thank you.
So it was a 3-0 recommendation, 7.7% increase to $2,277,32, and as high priority, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Stevens and Councilmember Mink.
Thank you. Just wanted to add in that Mikhail is also part of our economic development engine, especially as it pertains to connecting with and involving, obviously, our community members who speak other languages, our new arrivals, all of that, that you all, we know that you network and connect with businesses and other organizations. So there's a lot of work you do, but that is a big part of it.
If we open our doors to people from around the world, we need to provide the services to make them part of our community. And that is what Mikhail does. So with that, thank you to the E&C committee for the recommendation. Thank you, Ms. Stevens, for the work that you're doing. And all those in support of the Mikhail NDA, raise your hand. And there we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lunchtime.
Not yet, not yet. You spoke too soon. Spoke too soon. So now the final item on this morning's agenda is an amendment to the FY24 budget for the urban districts to add Friendship Heights. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Economic Development Committee Chair, Ms. Fountain
This
Gonzalez.
actually did not go to committee.
Oh, that's right.
Due to the timing.
The amendment.
The request came over after the committee met to discuss the urban district budget. And basically what this does is it takes the recently created Friendship Heights Urban District and makes sure that it can spend money through appropriation that it raises through the urban district fee. There is no general fund funding for this, so it's just to be able to take the revenues and spend it. And for FY24, that's estimated to be about $617,000.
Very good. Vice President Friedson.
Yeah, I'll be brief because the only thing standing between lunch, just want to thank the executive branch. A lot of work has gone into this partnership to work together with community members and to get us to this point. The good news here is we're essentially just authorizing a tax that has been requested from these businesses. So this is the easiest one we will do during this budget cycle, I assure you. But this funding, as everybody notes, is really the second piece to the creation of this urban district, which is our half of the funding mechanism, along with the District of Columbia, to create this bi-jurisdictional effort. And this is probably the most important function, but should be the simplest function that we undertake. And just really appreciate everybody's support and all of the work, both across the street, executive branch and council working together with all of our staffs, but also the community members, the neighboring and abutting municipalities, community associations, and businesses that have all been part of this conversation. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, and thank you for your leadership in helping create this urban district. So with that, all those in favor of this item, raise your hand. And there is support. Now we're in recess. Thank you.
The only thing I would like to add is to stay active, eat clean, and continuously